Hello and welcome. Let's understand what is buffer overflow attack. We'll deep dive into how does the process execute inside the memory. Then we will see how practically we can perform a buffer overflow attack by taking a vulnerable server. Let's jump into it. So what is buffer overflow? So buffer overflow is a situation where a running program attempts to write the data outside the memory buffer which is not intended to store the data. So typically a program tries to cross the boundary that is our buffer space that has been allocated to it and cross some other part of memory and perform some malicious activity that has been provided in the instruction to give the attacker some remote shell or something like that, right? Now, what are the types of overflow attacks? So, one of the very popular known attack is your stack overflow attack. So, this specifically targets your buffer area of your memory, and overflowing it cause the buffer overflow attack. Now, next is your heap overflow attack. So, in this type of attack, it targets the data in the open memory pool, which is known as your heap area, and then it results in your overflow attack. Now next part is your integer overflow attack. So in an integer overflow attack, an arithmetic operation result in an integer that is too large for the integer type meant to store it. That can also cause your buffer overflow attack. The other variation is your Unicode overflow. So in Unicode overflow attack, it creates a buffer overflow by inserting the Unicode character into the input that expect ASCII characters, right? Now let's get deep dive into understand how does a program looks like inside your Windows memory. So I'll be taking some demo, showing you some graph or some overview so that you get some better idea about it. So let me draw you one of the important or three important component of your process in the memory. So the first block comes is your code area or the code segment where you will be having some processor executes like EIP and all those things. So we'll see what exactly all those things, right? So next is your data segment where it holds the variables, dynamic buffers, and other thing like storing some dynamic values. Next is your stack segment, so which we'll be dealing more of about in this particular course, which used to pass your data or argument function and other space usage of your variables. So we'll have a deep down about your stack segment in details. So just this is just to give you the how the process memory has its various component. Now let's go ahead and understand how does a process or looks like when it's run inside your memory. So let's draw this whole area. So the first thing is your kernel layer, or I would say the top layer where you will be having your kernel, land, right? So it will have typical addresses that will start from your or Windows memory typically start from your 000 to 000FFFF. Now 0000 will be at the bottom, whereas 1111 will be at the top. So in the bottom, you will be having like text area. So when I say text area, it will be like the whatever the code that you have written typically for your program operation, right? Now next is going to be is your data area. So where you will be having variable initialization, uninitialization, another thing. So after that, you will be having your heap function, right, or heap area, right? It is basically your typical DLLs calls and everything that goes inside. That interact with your heap areas, right? And next will be your stack area. So where we all know that stack area typically work in push pop operation. So various instruction will be pushed into it and popped out of it this fashion. So in stack area you will have different registers. So I will talk about them slight bit later. But let's understand the stack area in details now. So let's take one more graph to understand stack. So stack basically work in your LIFO or last in first out. Okay, so again, stack has various register, but we are going to talk about our ESP and other thing register one by one. So ESP is nothing but your extended stack pointer, right? Next, let's say your program execute inside your memory, then it will come to your ESP, then it will come to your buffer space, which will be like below that. And after that there will be like EBP or extended base pointer. Again, stack has top bottom, as I already said some time ago. And then finally we will have our EIP or extended instruction pointer or return address. Now what happens basically whenever you have passed a specific information to ESP or a program executes inside your ESP, then this part will be covered first, right? And then as per the instruction that is been given or the various operation that is been specified, you'll be running in your buffer space. Now let's say our program is trying to cross its boundary and it is going into this other part of your memory, then it will come to your EBP and EIP, right? Now if a program is coming to EIP, so EIP contains the extended instruction pointers. What exactly instruction pointer? Instruction pointer basically directs the next operation to be executed. So that way attacker as whatever information or whatever instruction pointer instruction that attacker has planned, it will take into that particular part of your memory and start executing it. So this is how overall your stack area look like. Hopefully you would have got some idea by now. So we'll see what are the different registers now, then we'll see what are the steps that we can involve to perform an attack in buffer overflow. So as I was mentioning some of the stack based related stuff, so these are the various registers like EAX or accumulator that used to store like your addition, subtraction, all those value, and EBX your base register. So you can go through all of them one by one, but I just wanted to make sure that you got some idea about our ESP or EBP and things, EIP, right? Now since we have already got to understand what is stack, how does it work, now let's see what are the steps involved for conducting an buffer overflow attack. So these are the basic steps those are involved while conducting an buffer overflow attack. The first one is verifying overflow by fudging, or you send some junk information or a bunch of strings or maybe input to the specific program and see whether it is getting crashed or whether there is some memory related buffer overflow is happening or not. Now next you identify the bad character that like the program doesn't like the character, which we will see in depth while conducting the demo. And after that you try to make next part is you're controlling the program flow, like you want to redirect the program to some specific instruction rather than just going through this or your part of your shell code, redirecting the program execution to your part of shell code which will perform the operation as per the instruction that you have written. And the final part will be your writing the shell code, which will typically be your planting your shell to get a remote shell out of a system. Now these are the overall view about the buffer overflow attack. So next we will see how practically you can conduct this demo about this attack.